to get out of anything.
Yes.
Kids are an excuse. If you don't want to do something, you just say, "Oh, my kids." Just say "my kids" with like sort of like a sigh, like "oh," and then you will be able to sort of finagle your way out of any situation that you don't want to be in.
Are we, is the glider gliding right now? Have we detached from the airplane? Are we going? Is this it?
We're always going, Joe. You know
We
this.
are. How are,
Yeah.
again, I have not talked to you much. We've had Mother's Day since I last saw you. Did you perform? Did you make mommy happy on Mother's Day? There's always,
Yes.
that's one of the toughest audiences
Yeah.
around.
I know. Well, it was me getting up early with the kids, making sure they got their cards written. You know, Erin was sleeping. And then, yeah, then she came down and read the cards. I read her letters, handwritten letters. And this year I did a Dear Diary. So I was like, it was from the perspective of me writing in my journal about
Aw.
her, you know?
Aw. So you had a
Pretty-
theme.
Pretty slick. It was pretty slick.
So you
I
had a
got-
theme. Like
It-
Dear Diary, it's day 48 of quarantine, and my God,
Okay.
I love my wife more today than I ever have.
Do you know what's so fucking crazy? And I swear to God, swear to everything that is holy to me. I wrote day 48. I said,
Yes.
I said, Dear Diary, it's quarantine day 48. That's how I started the entire thing. That's really funny you said that. But yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did.
Well, I
That's
knew that
exactly
because
what
she sent me the letter, and
Oh,
I made some corrections. I sent it back. I'd like you to work on a couple areas. I thought you kind of lost it. You lost direction. It's bad, isn't it bad? I was thinking about this when I was writing Michelle's opus in the card that I got her. Isn't it bad when you're writing something handwritten and you make a mistake?
Yes.
How you try
Yep.
every possible way to make it look like you didn't make a mistake, or you start a thought and you're like, it's not really where I want to go with this, or this, I'm stuck.
Yep.
You're dead. I mean, and then you write the dumbest sentence you've ever written to transition out of it to go somewhere else.
Dude, that's such a great point. I'm not afraid of a scribble out though, because I think it adds character, and that's it. You know, it's like my thoughts are stream of consciousness in a way. But I totally agree. I will start a sentence and I'm like, your eyes are like the color of. Wait a minute. Fuck, that's horrible. Okay, now I have to recover, and now it's like your eyes like the color of. And then I have to reread it like a few times to get back in the mode.
To get in the flow, to get to see where this is going, and then all of a sudden something hits you, and you're like, your eyes are the color of. I remember the first time I saw those eyes.
Totally.
I was in love the first second. Those are these eyes. Oh, crying.
Totally. I mean, but it was good. I got some tears out of it, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to clean the house, so we did a whole family house clean. Like that was what she wanted for Mother's Day. Yeah.
Was she a part of the cleaning, or was that her?
Oh yeah, yeah, she was. But she wanted all of us to do like a deep clean. So I turned on some music, Black Crows to be specific, and we just like went to town. You know.
Never mentions what's your go-to Black Crows song, since that's such a.
Oh God. Oh, I don't know. It's albums. Like I just put on albums of theirs. I was a Black Crows fan long before Kate met Chris. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's been a big part of my life. And then nothing, man. We didn't. You know, I cooked dinner and it was just pretty basic. My mom and Kurt cruised by on their e-bikes and did like a little wave.
What's an e-bike?
It's a bike that's electric, basically. You can pedal it, and you know there are certain modes where pedal assist. You go like 28 miles per hour. But
it sounds horrible.
No, it's great. You can get anywhere you want. You know?
Yeah, I know, but it just sounds dangerous. 28 miles an hour.
Yeah, they can go pretty quick. I mean, there's certain ones that go faster than others, you know. But yeah, it's nice for them though. Kurt's like, I'm just gonna head to San Jose. I'm like, what? You know, and he's just
on the bike.
Yeah, he goes so far.
Oh my God! I mean, is it weird? It would be weird for me to drive through the streets of LA and see Snake Plissken on an e-bike.
Well, he does wear an eye patch when when he's on his e-bike. So.
Why wouldn't he? And it'd be only because people would be driving by going, "There's no way that's Kurt Russell wearing
no,
an eye patch." I mean,
right? No, on an e-bike, it would look very strange.
that's what I've noticed with masks. Finally went to a grocery store, saw everybody geared up in their masks, and outside of actually, shaking somebody's hand, the other part of human interaction is just warmly smiling at somebody, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like you can't, unless you can, somehow it's going to have to be an eye thing.
Yeah.
Like now it's just like,
right. You just smile with your eyes.
yeah, I'm smiling under here. It's like Marty Feldman in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. No, I had a great idea for a mask because everyone's doing, printed masks now. It's like the thing. But what if you were able, and I'm sure you could do this, take a picture of your face and then just have them do the mask from the nose down to your mouth, but of your actual face, so it looks like your face.
Would you be in a permanent
smiling? Yeah, like a big smile. Yeah.
Hi, hey, I'm Oliver.
Yeah, that would
look stupid,
dude. That would be amazing. They would sell like hotcakes.
If you could just print your own face. How about if I wore your mask and you wore my mask?
Yeah. Totally. You could do celebrities' lower half of their faces.
Think of the crimes you could get away with.
Yeah. It's like, break.
Yeah. It's like Nixon, Reagan, and Oliver Hudson came in and robbed a Walgreens today. And you just lost your mask. So that's the problem. All of a sudden you're getting handcuffed and let out.
But I really think this could be a business. Maybe we should put it under the Daddy Issues banner.
Yeah, we have to expand it. This has got to become an empire.
Yeah, it's getting too big as it is. So we need to scale this thing right now.
We do. We need help. We need help managing all of the interest that exists. I've done more Zoom, and our guest today, when she pops on, I interviewed her for a show. She's from St. Louis. She grew up in St. Louis, so I interviewed NIKKI GLASER for a show here, and she's so worn out by Zoom calls. This is my 4th Zoom call of the day.
No.
Yeah, it is. It's 12:15 Central Time on Tuesday, and I was on Zoom calls for Fox earlier today and another company, and now here we are. And eventually you get tired of just looking into that green dot up there and making fake eye contact and talking into your computer. It feels moronic. Oh
God. I mean, of course. I think everyone's, Zoom fatigue for sure. But I don't look into the green dot. Are you looking into the camera like this?
I do.
I look at you.
I don't look I look up there. Doesn't it look like my eyes are higher than they should be?
Yeah, but I don't care. I want to see you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, it's not really about making eye contact with you.
Well, when you do like actual TV stuff or you're on a Zoom call, I feel like HBO, they sent out.
You're trained.
You go through a training. Like you need to sit, it needs to be eye level and you need to look at the lens, not at the screen. And it's.
But we're not on camera. Right? This is just for you and I to sort of be able to participate in semi-person.
Reconnoiter. That's what it's called. So by you and me reconnoitering before our guest arrives.
What's reconnoitering?
Just, catch it up.
Is that a real word?
Let's sit around and connoiter. Yeah, it's catching up.
How do you know that word?
That's a word that I've always been good with the word connoiter.
You connoiter your wife?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
How was your Mother's Day though? Did you guys just do the same shit?
Same thing. I mean, it's hard to cook with 2-year-olds, but I did, and we made her avocado toast with eggs, little cheese on top. What kind of cheese is it? That Greek kind of.
Oh, feta.
Feta. We threw some feta on top.
Nice.
And then the boys put their own little fake. things. Like they have a fake thing of juice and a fake thing of vegetables and a fake thing of waffles, but that was their contribution to the tray. Then we did, and you know what her main gift was this year?
What?
Zeisel.
I don't know what that is.
It's an allergy medicine. Every night she wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning. We live in St. Louis. Allergies are horrible right now, and she can't breathe. And one day last week, she's like, you know what? I need some Zeisel. So that's when I went in and saw these people in the store not smiling at me as I was stupidly trying to smile through a mask. And boom, I saw Zeisel. I got it. I wrapped it in wrapping paper. She opened it. She took it last night after an entire bottle of wine. Thought she was risking death, but she woke up.
Right.
And woke up with less of an issue with her allergies. So that's
nice.
Great.
Well, maybe we can get them on as a sponsor since we just gave them a nice little free plug. You know?
Yeah, they have that. They have the owl, like the Zeisel owl. You've seen the ads.
Yeah.
Very aristocratic owl.
That's a very thoughtful gift. You know,
it's one of those. It proves you're paying attention.
100%. By the way, that's such a smart gift. Very, very fucking smart gift. Anyone can go out and buy a piece of jewelry or whatever, right? Shoes, whatever it is.
Means nothing.
Means nothing. But if you buy that simple thing that just shows that you're listening, that is worth its weight in gold.
I got my first wife one time for Christmas a level and a thing that you put to find whatever they call them on walls so you don't a stud finder.
Yeah.
And that didn't go over so well.
It didn't?
No. We were in a stretch where we were putting new stuff up on the walls. I'm like, oh, that could be great. We'll get a level and a stud finder. And I wrapped them up, and that was met with not a warm.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, I got my wife a stud finder, but it's always going off. So she had to get rid of
it. Where's it pointing? Is it pointing at you?
No, it's just
the mailman.
No, it's me. It senses me and it's just always beeping, so we had to get rid of it.
That would get annoying. It's like your door chime every time your kids open the door.
Oh, I know. It's become part of the deal.
We should get an alarm company to be a sponsor.
I think ADT does stuff.
Every time Oliver's children open the door, and yours can too.
Do you want a beeping sound to ruin your podcast?
We got an answer.
We got it.
Oh
my God.
So I
went on a mountain bike ride yesterday for the first time. I got outside and it was fucking phenomenal.
Because I've really about yourself now, because I feel like you were so dark about your body image.
It's starting to get better. I didn't drink this week. I drank one day this week. That's all. I've been drinking this Athletic Greens, which is another free plug. Hopefully they can sponsor the show. It's really good shit. It's like it's all you need in a scoop of powder. All your greens and minerals ground up, boom. And that's been great. No bread, no pastas. You know, I'm trying to get on the right track here.
Yeah, you look slimmer. I can see it in your face.
For reals?
Yeah.
I think I've just been drinking too much. You know, I think that's been a big thing. But honestly, you know, the anxiety's still there, dude. It's weird. I actually have a session with my shrink tomorrow, and I haven't seen him in a few months now because I think we were not done. You're never done, but it was like, all right, I think we're good for a minute. It's been 4 years, you know.
Is this the guy you tried to get me onto?
Yeah, Elliot. He's awesome.
Where does he live?
Miami.
Yeah.
But I've just been feeling this sort of tightness in my throat and, you know, anxiety.
That's Aaron's hand around your neck.
Yeah. Even when it's not there, though, I feel it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that you're pulling out of your nose.
I'm pulling out a little bit. You know, I went and got a corona test. Not because I feel like I have it. I just wanted to see what the process was like. You know, because the testing site is right by my house here. And it was like an hour line of just snaking through this line and, you know, everything's window up. And I did the whole swab and I'm waiting for the result. But of course, in the 5 days I've been waiting, I'm thinking like, you know, fuck, what if I have it? I'm asymptomatic and now I'm infecting my entire family. You know,
You don't have it.
no, I'm pretty sure I don't, but there's a little spiraling that happens every now and again, but I'm pulling out. I'm pulling
But
out.
I don't think you're any different than anybody else. You would have to be completely detached from reality to think that there's no chance you could have this virus. I mean,
Right.
we were in Europe when this whole thing kind of
I
mushroomed,
remember. Yeah.
and coming back, I was convinced that both Michelle and I, but that you get the psychosomatic.
Yeah.
My chest feel every time I breathe in, it tickles, it feels tight. I've got kind of a headache. I'm sore, but shit, I'm 51. I'm sore every day. That's just kind of the
Hmm.
way it is.
No, I know. I know. I know exactly. And that's where meditation comes in, and just centering myself, being more mindful, getting back to my fucking Hoffman roots, bro. That's been the process. It's weird though. I took a bit of a turn. I just losing it a little bit, just where it was cooped up. I think I don't know. But anyway, my mountain bike ride was amazing. Um, I just pedaling, sweating, seeing vast view of something. It was nice. They just reopened trails and stuff here
Do you
in
listen
LA.
to music when you do it?
Yeah, I listened to some Bob Marley actually.
Oh,
Yeah, it was nice.
steer it up.
Yeah, it was that. I listened to Steel,
How about
Little Darling. Yeah,
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 Three Little Birds,
yeah. Three
which is
Little
the name of that
Birds.
song. I got that wrong on a Red Sox playoff game one time. They were playing that. Now I'm blanking on all the lyrics, but three little birds are on
On
my
my
doorstep,
doorstep, singing
singing
sweet
sweet
songs,
songs, melodies.
melodies pure. This is
Like,
my message
let's
to
get together and feel
feel
all.
alright. So you
This
don't
wasn't the
worry.
beginning.
You probably thought it was "Don't Worry About a Thing."
That's what yeah,
Yeah,
which
you
is a
probably
different
said
song.
that. Right.
That's another commercial jingle. Don't
I
you
know.
worry about a thing.
Don't you worry about a thing.
One
Stevie.
of our audio guys is like, yeah, that song's called Three Little Birds. Asshole. Sorry,
It's funny. I've been reading comments, about our podcast.
I don't.
Well, I don't read them often, but one talked about the Randy Moss call, and they're like, "I thought Joe Buck was such a prude after that Randy Moss call, but this podcast has changed my mind about that." So
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. I'm so glad.
don't be upset. Jesus
I'm
Christ.
not upset. I just love reviews. Even if you go on Yelp, I don't have it in me to give like a real review. I'm glad people do, and I'm glad that person, man or woman, enjoys me more than he or she thought they would. But I don't know.
It's
It
not
just
about
seems like
enjoying you. I think you've had this conception, there's perception about you that you were sort of prudish, when you're like, what is he doing?
that is disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, get over it. It's like 2004.
I know, it was a very long time
Yeah, get over it.
ago. I feel like that was one of your.
You know who got over it fast? Randy. He didn't
Hey,
give two shits.
if you could take back one call, would that be it?
No, somebody just asked me this for The Athletic. And I said, in the beginning part of my answer, I said most people would think
Ah,
that would be my answer. But it was not my answer. I said, I have to live with whatever. It's not fair to go back and go, oh, I wish I had said that. I want to take that back, because I would do that all day and night for
no, but is there
everything that comes out
anyone
of my mouth.
that came out of your mouth where you're like, oh shit?
Not like an oh shit, but when I listened back, my answer was the 2006 World Series. The Cardinals beat the Tigers, and it was so in my head, all the noise about, oh, you're from St. Louis and your dad's face is on the outfield wall and you're such a Cardinal homer, that I just downplayed everything Cardinals, upplayed everything Tigers. And when the Cardinals won, I'm like, and the Cardinals, it was just so dead ass. And I listened back to it, I was like, oh my God, because when you're doing it, you don't really, there's a lot of crowd noise in your headset and whatever. And then you go back and you listen and you're like, you want to be so proud of all these big moments, and for the most part, I am. And then I listen to this, I'm like, never again. It makes me want to throw up.
Wow, I got to go listen to that. I want to hear it. Do you think is it worse in your head than it is in everyone else's? You know what I mean?
Well, I think so, but I think anybody insane. They all think I hate the Cardinals, which is hilarious. But it probably stems from yeah, of course, stems from moments like this. And anybody that wants to say that I should have been more excited for it's the end of the World Series. Doesn't matter who wins, and that's my whole point. And I took the bait, I took the cheese, as they say, and I vowed after listening back to that I would never do it again, and I don't feel like I have.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, I'll tell you my.
Do you ever see yourself on screen and go?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's just very self-critical. But like, I have a specific moment in Rules of Engagement that just fucked me up, where I could not remember my lines to save my life. The whole scene, I just lost it in front of a live audience. And everyone's laughing, and the audience is laughing because it's funny at first, and then it gets tragic because I can't remember my lines. And there's just silence. The audience is not laughing now. And I finally lose it. I'm like, all right, fuck this. Here's what we're going to do. Cameras, come over here. Script supervisor, the person who knows the line, knows the script. I'm going to tell me the fucking first part of the line. Great. Here we go. Ready? Boom. We're filming. What's the line? Jen, you need to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Jen, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Where's my next mark? Boom. Move the camera. So I just directed the whole thing until I got it done after she was reading me the lines, and I was just basically repeating them. And I was like, good, we're done. Moving on. And of course the audience was like cheering, and it worked out. But in the end for them. But
can you tell when you watch it back?
Horrifying.
Can you tell when you watch it back that it's not?
No. You can't really, you know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of editing.
What would kill me in your business, and I've done some of it, very little, is when the person in charge of picking what take picks one that isn't your pick. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you feel like, oh shit, I nailed that, then you watch it back and it's your C+ version.
Oh yeah. Well, they take
it.
That's what we do. That's why we're sort of actors for hire until we're in the editing room and actually, making edits ourselves. But no, dude, I mean, you lay down takes, and then, they can make or break you, really. I mean, a performance can be made in the editing room and then completely destroyed in the editing room. I mean, I've done shows that I won't mention, one in particular where you do the scene and you're like, oh shit, like that was a good scene, felt that one. All right, good day. And then you watch it back and so much is cut out of it and so many different weird cuts. You're like, holy fuck, they just destroyed that thing, And then there's other times where you just shit the bed and then it's like, oh wow, yeah, all right, that turned out pretty good.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi guys.
I see you. Is this your 57th Zoom call today or what?
It's my second, but and that's it's my radio show stopped last week. It ended, so I'm really actually starved for broadcasting. So this is pretty awesome.
Well, you want on Sirius?
Yeah, my contract was up, and they just couldn't afford to keep me. And then I was like, you know what? Everyone's struggling. Let's do it. I'll do it for what you want. And then they were like, actually, we don't have any money. So we're not gonna. So like, So I'm starting a new podcast, which I definitely wanted to talk to you guys about, because I know Oliver, last time we met, you were telling me about your guy.
Yeah.
Going the independent route versus I got a couple offers from networks and I just don't know which way to go.
Well, we will have a conversation, by the way.
Sweet. Yeah.
And
Sim is salivating in one of those blocks up there at the top of our Zoom call. Nikki Glaser. Our Zoom call should be better than most because Nikki is about a 10-minute drive from me right now. She's the only person I will ever talk to that's actually in St. Louis at the same time I'm sitting in St. Louis, a quarantine to make this
I know that actually that's true. You're the only person in this town that I've talked to on Zoom. That's amazing.
I
Die
know.
hard.
St. Louisans here.
Die hard St. Louis. You moved when you were 6, right? Is that right?
Yeah, to St. Louis, yes.
So Cincinnati means nothing to you.
It doesn't mean nothing because my whole family is from there, and I've been back there a ton, and my parents claim that that's like my hometown. But yeah, I mean, I definitely consider myself a St. Louisan much more than a Cincinnati.
What you don't know, Oliver, is us, for those of us in St. Louis, we categorize one another by asking what high school you went to. So she went to Kirkwood. That means I know everything about her. I know her socioeconomic background.
Yep.
I know what she did in high school. I know the kind of chick she is. I went to Country Day, now called MICDS, for her generation. And that means that I'm a snobby prick. And
yeah, of course.
That's
it's
what
fucking called Country Day. I mean, it just sounds like that, Joe.
It does. Yeah, I'm guilty. That's me. I am a Country Day boy.
Well, Joe's been trying to get me to come to St. Louis, and I've never been. And I don't really know why, but I give him shit about living in St. Louis because I want him to move out to LA.
Right.
So he can be with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It looks like you can like have a career not living in LA. I didn't know that, but it really seems kind of an option now. And I'm kind of considering it.
You can, because you're all over the place. I'm all over the place doing play-by-play at events, so it's easy for me to come back to St. Louis. You're on tour. You were just in St. Louis not long before this quarantine hit.
In February, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And and
so you're here.
Yeah, I'm looking at like maybe moving here and having a place here, but it's right now it's just so up in the air. But and I'm between moving back to LA too. I just don't know. And there's no information about like where to go or what's open, when it will be open. There's just I'm just taking it day by day. But for
now,
are
you in St. You're in St. Louis though right now? Are you?
Yeah, I'm in St. Louis now, but I have an apartment in New York that I just got March 1st, and I just have boxes there. And I'm moving out. I'm breaking my lease and moving out this month because there's just I have no idea when I'm moving back, and it's just sitting there. And so
are you all alone now? Are you just alone?
No. She is in the cradle of her own civilization with mom and dad and her dog. Her Instagram is a great follow because she's now back, which I talked to NIKKI on another thing we did together, which has got to be just writing a new special and or routine daily by living with mom and dad.
Yeah, there's a lot of material coming out of this. My mom and dad, I mean, I just got into a fight with my mom in the kitchen because she's not taking the CBD oil that I got for her neck pain. And she's like, it tastes bad. So she was like, you try it. So I just did it and was like, it's nothing, Mom. It's nothing. And she's like, I could yell at you about a lot of stuff. And then it just got into a whole thing. So I mean, it's high school again. It really, it truly is. I don't know how much longer I can stay here, but now that I'm moving out of my apartment in New York, I literally have nowhere else to go. So I might get an Airbnb or something, but the alternative of living with nobody, and I have no friends in St. Louis, there's no one to hang out with. I mean, my parents are my best friends right now too. So we have an okay situation. I think it's as as tumultuous as any other family living together in any way, but I gotta find a husband. It's just all it comes down to.
How do you get your weed in St. Louis?
My friend ships it to me from LA. Yeah, like she does
under
care packages.
What name? Like
Nicole.
Captain America?
Nicole. Really throws everyone off.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter that much. You know what I mean? You can ship weed and put Joe Buck on it. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, no one cares.
No one cares, Joe. We're living in a new generation.
Joe, I'll send you some. Don't worry.
Just drop it off. I'm over here. I'm in Ladue.
You're in Ladue. Oh my God.
Of course.
Yeah. Well,
I have to be.
NIKKI and I think we were doing Anthony Anderson's show. Is that
to
what
tell
it was?
The truth.
Yeah. And like right before we start, she pulls out these caramels. Like they were caramels. And I was like, oh shit, can I have one?
Yeah. That makes that show easier to get through. Like, I think I went halfway through the show and I was like, I've got it. And then I was like, now let's have a little fun.
Right.
Are you not worried of just being, if it's an edible, are you not worried of it hitting you like a ton of bricks and you just being completely rudderless in the water?
That actually gives me such a thrill. I feel like the chance that could happen, I really live for that adrenaline of like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be? I think I started taking edibles and started smoking weed before performances just to feel nervous again and to be like, what's going to happen? Because I just don't get nerves anymore. And I think that was something that inspired me to write and just be on my best behavior or just try harder. And I've just become so lackadaisical about appearances that I needed something. When I'm high before I go on stage, it makes me like, oh my gosh, what if I don't remember? It makes me focus more. I don't know what it is, but I have started to see, like, I can see when I'm high and it looks like my eyes just kind of get like, oh, it's not, I don't think it's good for your face. My eyes just tend to like sag and look tireder. And so I just can't do it now out of pure vanity, and which is always what makes me stop doing all of the fun things, is when it starts affecting my looks.
I know.
Oliver, you've never done anything like that, have you?
No, never in my life.
I mean, I thought your head was going to fall off. You were nodding so rigorously when she was going through her description of being high on stage.
I understand what she means, though.
Yes.
I like when I get too high because it's almost scary in a way.
Yes.
Where it's just like, oh fuck, I'm way too high right now. Like I can't deal with my kids. I'm too fucked up. I'm too high. But it's almost feels like kind of nice to be scared.
To be scared, to not know what you're doing, to not have your bearings. And it just makes me, those are the times that I've really excelled in my life, when I've been the most nervous or the most anxiety ridden beforehand. So I kind of like to put myself into that state. However, I have found that, since moving back home and having less to do all day, I just start kind of smoking weed whenever I feel like, whenever it occurs to me. Sorry, my phone is on. That's so unprofessional. And
it's quite
I'm so high. My weed just got delivered. The Ring app got alerted. So yeah, I was just starting to feel like I'm doing it too much. And I think that's like anything. It used to be a treat, it used to be after I was done performing, or it would be right before I performed if it was kind of like an easy set. And now it's just like one of the things I do, and it's losing its luster, and I'm starting to have the side effects of memory loss, just not being as sharp. And I just can't, I got to get back. My tolerance has got to get back up, because Oliver, don't you find that the more you do, the more you don't feel high when you're high? You almost feel high when you're not high. That, because that's the state that you're least in.
The memory loss thing is real. The short-term memory shit, where something will be in my head that I have to go do or make a call, and it will fly out of my head so fast that it's almost scary that I don't have any recollection of what it was. Other than the fact that I knew that I was having to do something. But aside from that, that's it. I have no fucking idea, and I've had to let it go, because that in itself can bring on anxiety for me, where I'm like, holy fuck, do I have early onset happening right now?
Yeah. And I think it's not good. I mean, the more that happens, it's starting to happen on stage. And I was thinking, oh, it's just because, I go up and I don't really, have material. I don't look at jokes before I go on stage. I was doing an hour and 20 minutes on my last new hour, and I would just look at my notes, and then it would just be kind of stream of consciousness. And I was on stage and I would go off on these tangents, which is how I build material now, is I just, take a premise on stage and then I talk it out, and then the funny lines start coming. First of all, I never remember any of the funny lines I say, because they're in the moment and I don't write them down. So I always have my opening acts watching, and then I go, Andrew, write that down. But he's usually going through his DMs, because he just performed and he's trying to find someone to sleep with that night. So he's not listening. So then I legitimately started asking the audience. I did it the other night. I did a Zoom stand-up show, and I had a couple great lines. I had one line about, which someone sent to me, because I I was a little bit, I've been smoking too much weed. My short-term memory is non-existent. And I said during the Zoom stand-up show, I was like, that was a good joke. Someone please tweet me that later because I won't remember it. And yesterday I taped Conan and I had done the stand-up set the night before. And all day I'm just refreshing my Twitter being like, please someone send that to me. And they sent it to me right after I was done taping. And I was like, damn it. And the joke was so funny. It was about, well, I talked about it on Conan, but it was about how I've never in my life, since I'm living with my parents, I can't date right now. Like I can't even imagine, like if I was living alone, I'd probably risk it. I know that I don't want to catch it, but if I did, I feel like I wouldn't be one of the ones that's going to die from it. Although you don't know. Right. But I'm just it's just getting so ridiculous. I think I would go on like a social distance hike with a guy. However, I can't even do that right now because I might bring it home to my parents who, are fragile and old. And so it's just, I feel like a hero because I'm not like having sex right now. I'm like, oh, I'm not having sex because I want my mom to live, which is never something I would ever think that I could say. And the line that I came up with was, I don't want my mom to be intubated, so I'm not getting intubated anytime soon, which I just thought was a good line. I'm like, damn it, I forgot. But I constantly say stuff, and I've got Mitch Hedberg used to have a great joke about this same thing, which is, and he was high all the time. I mean, he died of getting high, but he, of things that I haven't touched yet.
Right.
But he used to have this joke. Yeah, he used to have this joke that he would be in bed and he would think of a joke, and he was so lazy and didn't want to get paper and pencil that he would convince himself that the joke wasn't funny instead of going and writing it down.
So genius.
It's so good.
Amazing.
But that's what I do all the time because the amount of funny thoughts that come to me during the day, I can't keep up with them, and they're lost all the time. And I always convince myself I'm going to remember them. And
what about your phone? Just speaking into your phone.
I've done that a lot. But it's just sometimes you just convince yourself like I'll remember it, and I just never do. And so I'm actually really trying to quit pot and see if it helps with my short-term memory.
But what about the ratio of what's actually funny when you're super high to what it isn't? Because sometimes, sometimes I'll be like, oh shit, that's amazing. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to like develop this into fucking the next great comedy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm like, oh God, that was just fucking lame.
Yeah. I mean, that happens so much. And again, I always think in the time, like maybe this is just a high idea and this isn't like a real good idea. But I'm like, no, this time it's genius. Because sometimes they are really good ideas.
Oh, yeah.
I find that my best career decisions and creative decisions on like a macro scale also happen when I'm either in some kind of trance state, like whether I'm like on a long run, they'll come to me. I always come off of long runs like, I need to call this person and this person. I have all these grandiose ideas. I'm going to start this YouTube show, and it just never. It's somehow never gets done.
Can you meditate?
Yeah,
like I feel like you have so many thoughts going through your head, especially somebody that does a high wire act on stage. It's not really writing down jokes. It's trying to live in the moment. How do you shut off and actually quiet everything so that you can get some sort of benefit from meditating?
I meditate every single day, and it's something that I just never skip out on. I treat it like brushing my teeth. I just once a day. No, I brush my twice a day, but I do once a day. I meditate for 20 minutes. I do TM. I honestly don't know how I shut it off because of Stern. It really, well, I originally took the TM course because Amy Schumer bought it for a bunch of her friends after she took it and was like, everyone needs to do this. So I was like broke. This was like 8 years ago. She bought the course for me. I learned how. I did it for a couple months, but I was like, eh. And then I got wildly depressed like 2 years ago. Just, I think I had weaned myself off of Zoloft because I was like, this is making me feel numb. I just want to be normal again. So I responsibly got myself like back on no meds. And then I just got walloped by, I moved to New York. I was starting a new show. I had broken up with a boyfriend and I was just so depressed. And then I watched comedians in cars getting coffee with Howard Stern. It was an outtake that was on YouTube that talked about TM, and Howard Stern talked about how his mom had started doing TM and when he was a kid, and his mom's depression sounded a lot like mine. And he was like, I got my mom back. And I was like, I want my mom back. And so I just started doing it, and I've done it ever since, every day for the past like 2.5 years. And the only thing I can say about it is that because I know if I can do it, anyone can do it, because my thoughts are all over the place. And it's the one time of day that I don't struggle with it. I don't know why. It's really calming, and I look forward to it.
Well, it's a practice, because you obviously have practiced it enough to where you can drop in much easier now, right? Like
Yes.
in the beginning, because I love meditation, I actually have to get back to it. But I was going through a period where I was every day, and then you can just drop in much quicker. And so the struggle is less. It's not as hard, and you get less frustrated once you get over the hump.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the thing about meditation that I think is just everyone needs to know is that you can't do it wrong. And it's just, I love that it's so forgiving, because I'm such a perfectionist that no matter what I do, even if I don't think the mantra the entire time, it's still done something. I mean, there are times where I'm just thinking about, like, I just meditated, and the whole time I'm just thinking about jokes I didn't say on Conan that I wish I would have, and thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, oh, what am I going to regret saying on this that I or regret not saying, but by when the timer went off, I was like, I still accomplished something, even though I did not say my mantra even once. It still was something.
Totally. By the way, I'm leaning off of Lexapro, and like an asshole decided to do it in the middle of quarantine.
Oh boy! Oh,
and
well,
so
there it is.
I had to go back up 5 milligrams, because I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if I'm feeling great right now.
Yeah, now's not really the time. Now's the time because we have the time to do it, but now's not the time because it's just, I'm trying to do a lot of self-help stuff too. Like, I'm really immersing myself because you got the time for it, but drudging up all these feelings along with losing so many of my jobs and living with my parents, I'm like, is this the right time to work on my eating disorder? I don't know. Maybe I should just lean into it a bit more.
You're the first female we've had on our podcast, and I think you're the perfect guest for a lot of different reasons. We'll get into the dad stuff in a minute, but I feel like you have been so open about everything. I'm sure you can't hide much when you're a comedian, but at the same time, you really throw it all out there, and I've done more of that in the last couple of years, and Oliver's always been that way. It's such a freeing way to go that I'm in awe of somebody like you that's talked about an eating disorder, or quitting alcohol, or how shy you were in high school, and now it's just crazy to me where you've gotten to where you're able to stand on a stage in LA, I assume, and rip on Alec Baldwin, Robert De Niro, and anybody else in that special, which is one of the greatest sets I've ever seen, because you took no prisoners, and it takes serious guts to stand up there and be what you were that night. I admire it. I admire the way you're so open with who you are and what you've dealt with.
Thank you. It's I'm really lucky that I don't seem to have the filter that other people do, or the self-respect to have any kind of private life. I don't really give myself that. I mean, there are things that I don't share, but I think my whole, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I just recorded, I didn't even want to talk about this, but I think it could help someone. I just recorded Conan yesterday, and I do want to talk to both of you about this, because I think you can help me feel better. And I prepared for it as much as I could. I worked on my jokes. I worked on good anecdotes, and we do a Zoom conversation, and I just got done with it. And then suddenly I was like, why did I say that? Why didn't I say that? Oh no, you could have said that. And the rest of the day I was flooded by regret. I'm not kidding you, sobbing. My parents haven't seen me cry during this pandemic at all. And yesterday I was heartbroken at what I could have done. Why did I watch The Bachelor the other night instead of writing for Conan? Why did I go on a hike with my friend instead of watching Conan? Why did I call my aunt? All these regrets. And it was so painful yesterday to go through that that I really was like, I got to quit this business, because that happens to me about 4 times a year with high pressure things, the roast being one of them. I had so many regrets about a joke that I forgot to tell on that roast that I couldn't function for a week. And then it ended up being the best thing that ever happened in my career. Right. So I know that these things, you know, Conan's going to air on Thursday. No one's going to see an issue with it. Everyone's going to be like, that was great. I'm going to see every little problem. Do you guys struggle with that?
It's really interesting, because as free and open as you are, right, there are certain parts of your life where you just beat yourself up over, and you're not able to forgive yourself or just live truly in the moment. Meaning, and by the way, Nikki, this is the same shit that I've dealt with all my life. I'm in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is such a great therapy for me. And the idea that you did Conan, guess what? It's fucking over. It's done. Even if you shit the bed, it's fucking done. So why not? Why are you causing physical pain to your body? Why is your mind causing this emotional pain for no fucking reason? Because it's done. There's nothing you can do about it anymore. It's over. And when I was able to finally truly feel that, not just cerebrally, but like emotionally feel that, I did that. I took a deep breath. I was like, oh my God, it was freeing for me. I was like, who gives a fuck? It's done. It's over. I can't do anything about it anymore. There's nothing I can do.
It really does help to hear you say that, because that is the conclusion I made ultimately. And my only issue was that it just kept coming back up. And I would, like, yesterday I went on a run, and I swear to God, there were 4 times that I just go, God, like I screamed to no one, because it would just be a thought would come in, like a hilarious joke that I'm like, oh, when Conan did that, I could have said that. And it was like, and it just, this constant, you could have done better. Like, I'm just a tiger mom to myself. Why didn't you study hard enough? That was a C+ performance. You could have gotten an A. Your potential is so much greater than you're doing. And it's, I fear for any kids I someday have, because the amount of pressure I put on myself is just, it's so much. But mentioning cognitive behavioral therapy is really helpful for me, because I've definitely read that book, Feeling Good, by David Burns. I saw his like TED Talk, and it's like, what? I need this. So I think I should look into that. I'm dealing with emotional therapy.
Game changing shit.
Here's what I would say to all that.
Yeah, please.
It's something, and not to name drop, but I talked about this very thing with the great Larry David, because he asked me, when you have a big moment in a game, do you think about what you're going to say, or do you just react? And I said, I cannot write something out and make the situation in a live sporting event fit what I thought about that morning. So I would say to you, Nikki, if you quote unquote studied harder, or if you didn't go on that hike, or if you didn't do the things that you ended up doing prior to taping with Conan, and you're all the while trying to get to these moments that you've predetermined in your head to be so perfect, you're not going to be yourself. You're probably not going to be as funny. You're not going to be as real, and you're not going to be what makes you great, which is your ability to react in the moment. So I think those are 2 different performances. One is a thought out, planned out kind of bullshit thing that you are trying to force feed, and the other is everything you do on stage, which I would say has more value to your career and to the appearance than trying to get. So that's what Larry said. He said, it's funny because when I do Curb, I have to fight against trying to get to something that I think in the morning is going to be funny, because then the whole time I'm thinking about how do I get there, instead of really just reacting off what everybody else is doing.
God, so I should have talked to you yesterday.
I think you're handcuffing yourself if you do the opposite preparation for any appearance. You're going to have to just live with what comes out, like I do, like Oliver does, and know that it's better than anybody else can do.
And how was the hike? How was the hike?
It was actually good. It was with an ex-boyfriend. It wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be, but it was, I got something out, I got material out of it. I needed to see someone, like these things that I can regret doing. you got to live a life. You just
Yeah.
can't always work. But
Exactly.
that is really helpful. And it's funny because before I did, because I was, struggling with it this morning, even after sleeping on it, and then I was focusing on showing up here for you guys, and I was like, okay, instead of trying, because I was like, maybe I'll look over my notes and I'll get some jokes in that I missed, and then I go, no, why don't you just like be in the moment? And then a part of me was like, smoke a bowl, and that'll make you feel less anxious about this. And I did it because I wanted to be. I think that's important. I think yesterday made me realize I do want to be more present and not worry about this agenda that I have, because and I did yesterday. And the worst part is I worried about an agenda that wasn't that good because it was all new jokes and new material that I'm, trying to write all new quarantine material. And I was just going through a list at the end of even at the end of the interview, I go, hold on, I forgot a couple jokes. Can I just like rattle these off? And he's like, okay. Like it was just me trying to get to just like Larry David said.
You're morphing into Richard Lewis.
I know. I don't know I got to get out of this house. It's torture being this hard on myself. And I keep getting told that by every medical professional I see that I'm hard on myself. And it just, I don't know when it will.
Where do you think that comes from though? Like, why do you think that you're so fucking hard on yourself after you've proven to be extremely successful? And, even the bad days don't affect your career, so why are you so hard on yourself?
It's so fun. The bad days, I feel like they might. Like I was thinking about Conan. I was like, but what if I die of COVID and the last performance is this Conan one and it's just a C, and then that gets passed around and then everyone's like, that was what she was about. And I'm like, you don't know. I wanted to I would do anything to do that over.
I know, but here's the thing. I think we're all too narcissistic when it comes to this shit because no one's going to give a shit when we die. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, our parents will, but no one's going to give a fuck. No one's going to look at NIKKI and be like, oh my God, she's dead. And did you see the last thing that she said? I mean, no. Honestly, it's going to be like, oh, NIKKI GLASER died. Oh my God, that's so sad. Okay, what's for dinner? I mean, that's just how we work these days.
That was a joke that my dad, who was hilarious, used to say, he did it in his grovelly voice. He'd say, when I die, and I am going to die in the booth, two people are going to be walking in downtown St. Louis, and one's going to turn to the other and say, hey, did you hear Jack Buck died in the booth last night? And the other one will say, oh, did the Cardinals win? And that's true.
Yeah.
Everybody just moves on.
They move on, man.
That's a great thing to remember. It just all doesn't matter that much. Are these things that you guys have struggled with, or have you always felt pretty
Jesus Christ. I mean,
just second guessing everything?
Oh, well, I'm in a different scenario where my self-worth and self-love was at an all-time low just because, I had an interesting childhood, a child of divorce, that fucked with me. And then they've got Kate, my mom, and Kurt, who are all like superstars, and I'm trying to make it. That really fucked with me, comparing myself to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to try too hard because the fall would be longer, meaning if I really try hard and I fail, it's going to hurt more. So why not just not try that hard,
Right.
I think that I have so much untapped talent even currently as we speak that for some reason I don't know why I'm either too lazy or afraid. I'm still trying to figure all that shit out. What I mean? There's something, a force that stops me from doing the things that I know I can do.
Yes. Okay. That's it. It's like the untapped, my potential. And it's, my parents are like, they have always loved my averageness. Like they're surprised that I'm they've never pushed me to be anything more than what I was. And I always really appreciated that. And they were always very grateful that I got good grades and everything, but never really demanded it or made me feel bad about it. So I do look and I go, I wonder where this comes from. And it's exactly that. It's the comparing myself. It's actually pretty pretentious because I do believe I'm like incredibly capable of so much more. When people are like, wow, you killed it, I'm like, you have no idea what I could have
Mhm,
done. Like, I'm
mhm.
so much smarter and more talented than I let on, and I'm tricking everyone. I mean, that whole imposter syndrome. But I just have to. And my therapist used to say to me, which I loved, she would be like, she was like, so you think you're smart enough to trick everyone? You think everyone's so stupid? And I was like, oh, that's a good that's a good way to put it. No, I
Yeah,
don't think anyone's stupid.
right.
So I just have to kind of you have to trust other people's perception of you, because inside here it's just I'm
I
the
just
worst
don't know.
bully.
I don't know what more you could do. As I follow you on Instagram and I see your travels and the way you guys have to move from city to city and you're doing,
Mm.
show after show after show. I just feel like every time I see you pop up on my feed, I just feel like you got to be so exhausted. And I know that we all think we could have done better, but I think you have to be realistic, or you would be miserable. Whatever
But,
leads you to
but it
to this
doesn't
comedy.
matter. But it doesn't matter, Joe, because it doesn't matter what any outside perspective is or any compliment that comes in. If you can't absorb it, if you don't have, again, that sense of true self-worth, then it means absolutely nothing. I've been complimented all my life, and it doesn't mean shit to me because I
I
just
think
don't
Yeah.
we're
feel it
all
myself.
like this. I think everybody's like this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, and I'm sorry to shit on all of your transcendental bullshit. But I think we all feel this way.
Yeah.
Everybody, unless you're a complete egomaniac, narcissist dick that nobody wants to hang out with, everybody thinks that they don't really measure up. Maybe it's all relative and it's all on a scale, but God, I mean, there's so many things I want to do, so many things I think I could do, so many things that I see, and I'm like, that's terrible. I could do that, or whether it's writing or stuff
Yeah.
that's on TV, but we all feel that way. You're just more maybe aware of it or more fixated on it. But I really honestly believe that that's what drives performers
Yes.
is the quest. That's why you and I, Ollie, like to play golf. You're always looking for the greatest round you can never find. You're looking for the greatest set that you'll never give, because when you do, you'll kind of feel like, what's left? So you're
Yeah.
always thinking it could be better.
I've never let it, that really is that you just don't let it land. You don't let it in. You don't let any of the, my ability to like celebrate a win is so small. I give myself this much of a room to actually let it in. And then it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know that it's the life I want. Sometimes I'm like, should I just get into another line of work where it's not this jumping from one accomplishment to the next? But I feel like in any field, I will still feel that way and feel in pursuit of something that I can never really even let in, even if I get.
Right. Have you ever heard of the place called the Hoffman Institute?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to get into it. You can call me maybe after we can talk
Okay.
about it. But I went there
Okay.
almost 2 years ago in November, 2 years ago in December. And it's a 7-day, self-help is not even the right word, but it's about childhood patterns. And you are in the middle of nowhere and you have no cell phones, no nothing. You can't run, you can't do yoga, you can't masturbate. I mean, you can masturbate if you want, no one's checking on you, but anything that is there to sort of self-soothe you, you just eliminate.
Oof.
And it is going back into your childhood, and it's this idea that you've developed these negative love patterns from even the minute you were born. And it's just about breaking these patterns. And the center of it is basically self-love and self-worth. And it's 38 people or so. And it was the most transforming, most amazing experience that I've ever had. I came out of there a different human being entirely. Different relationships with my mom, my stepdad, my dad, personal relationships with them. It was extremely profound. And it could be something that you could vibe with. You can look it up too and see what it is. But
yeah, I definitely will.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
amazing.
looking for anything like that. I mean, that I've been wanting to go do mushrooms or LSD or have some kind of like childhood epiphany where I heal something that's very deep down. But yeah, it's all about childhood stuff.
It is. And speaking of that, did your dad notice these things when you were growing up?
My dad, I don't think anyone noticed how intense I was. I think they definitely noticed that I was a sensitive child and you know, crazy and kind of indifferent and weird and intense. But I was just, my childhood was pretty perfect. Like, there's no one to point a finger at. I mean, I'm in therapy being like, can we find when I was molested? Like, is it there? And they're like, the other day, I swear to God, in therapy, she literally looked at her notes and goes, so wait a second. So when were you molested? And I was like, I wasn't. And she was like, are you sure? Like, she's like, you sound like someone who was. I was like, well, dig it out of me, Donna, because I don't know where it is. And I really didn't have any like abuse that I can think of. I mean, yeah, it was I had a really supportive, great, nurturing childhood. But my dad is like, grew up in a really volatile household and had a single mother in the 60s, 50s and 60s, and lost his dad at a young age. But his dad was, there was a lot of, I actually just called my aunt last night just to check in on her. And she told me a lot of stories my dad hasn't even told me, which were shocking, about my dad's childhood, that really made me have some compassion for him today. But he really just set out to be the dad that his dad wasn't, and was just the most fun dude ever. And maybe
And
not as
still is,
emotional.
right? I mean,
Yeah, still is an amazing man.
So he broke the cycle in a way.
He did.
Because I had the same situation where my dad's dad bailed on him when he was 5, and then my dad left us, and then I was determined at a young age to not be that kind of a father. It's similar. And
it fueled you to be a better dad because you 100%. Wanted to do that's I really did luck out in that way, because it's not like his siblings had a harder time with it, but he was just he came out of it so strong, such a good provider. We never wanted for anything. They're not as good at feelings as maybe they could have been, but that's just the generation that they came from.
Being affectionate.
In fact, my dad's a little too affectionate. I really had to cut him off from. Well, we actually had to. I had to stop him from mouth kisses. Like, we just have always kissed on the mouth in my family, even growing up.
I still do with my mom.
Yeah, and I hated it. Like, I remember, because I didn't kiss a boy until I was like 17. I was very sexually stunted, and I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 24. And I remember the first time I was like regularly kissing a boy was when I was like 24, when I had my first boyfriend. And then I went home to visit my parents, and my dad kissed me on the lips, and I kind of, the wires crossed during the kiss. It just was, it felt like, do I stay longer or wait, who is this? And then I was like, no more, we're not doing this. And my dad was like really hurt by it, because he goes, we kiss on the mouth in this family. And I was like, well, then why don't you kiss mom?
It's so funny, because I was in a poker game a long time ago, and we were talking about whether you kiss your kids on the mouth, and half the poker table was like, they still do, and half didn't. And one guy said that, just like last week or something, he kissed his daughter on the mouth, but last week he's kissing her goodbye to school. I think she's like 8 or something like that. And they kiss, and just normal. And she goes, Daddy, when you kiss me, it makes my vagina tingle. And he is like, okay, I think we're done with the kissing on the mouth.
God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And it was an innocent thing, meaning like it was just a beautiful thing in a way, just connecting to her dad in a way that is, she doesn't understand, and it's not even sexual really, but it's just part of whatever that connection is. Our dads are the first loves,
Yeah, my dad's knee was the first one I rode. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Exactly.
We used to play horse. I really do remember that feeling really good and not understanding why. So it's all fucking mixed up.
That's so true.
But I really did have to cut him off, and it hurts his feelings, because I really because I'm single, and I've been single for a while, and I'm constantly examining it, and my fear of men and my fear of intimacy with men. I just don't let my dad hug me as much as he would want to. I don't like to get as close with him, because it's weird. I think because now when I wish I went for men like my dad, that treated me like my dad, that looked at me like my dad. But when guys do, when men are really like, you're so beautiful, you're so talented, I love you so much, it's like, that's my dad. Ugh, and it makes me want to run. So it would be more helpful if my dad was like a scoundrel, because that would make me not, that would, if men were like that to me, I'd be like, you're like my dad, gross. But when having a good dad is actually been kind of detrimental to my love life, because no one's as good as him. He's just loves me too much.
Do you think you doing what you do as well as you do it, and being so quick, witty, open, is intimidating to the potential dating pool for you? Like, if somebody was dating NIKKI GLASER and you Google NIKKI GLASER, and the Bang It Out tour, or what you say about your own sexuality, as a guy, you're like, oh shit, do I want to wade into that and become set number 2 at the Groundlings or the Laugh Factory in LA?
Yep.
The Groundlings? I think she's past the Groundlings.
Whatever, shut up. That's what came to mind. Fuck off, Oliver.
I hope you have deep regrets about that all day, Joe. I hope it.
Oh my God, I can't believe I said the Groundlings. I meant Laugh Factory.
No, I know what you meant. Yeah, I think that is definitely a thing. I like to think that it's not, and that a strong enough man can handle it. But it did occur to me only just recently that being my boyfriend is very difficult, because you will be talked about on stage. You will, and if you hurt me, I might be angry enough to say something mean about you. Never by name, but I hope to not do this in the future, because I don't like to be, vindictive with my comedy. But I've hurt men before by divulging too much, and they knew what they signed up for, and then I've taken it a little too far. So I do think that that's a way that I think I keep men away, is just by being as brazen on stage. So, it's not that they don't like me or don't find me attractive or don't think I'm worthy of love. It's just that they have privacy issues. And so it protects me when someone doesn't like me in that way. So I think that that's a little bit it. But it does, it's not lost on me. It was lost on me for a while that, I was just like, why doesn't anyone like me? And it's like, oh no, it's a liability to date a female comic. I think the other day, a male comic who I have dated was quoted as saying it's embarrassing to date a female comic. And I think he meant, they're going to talk about you and you're going to end up being embarrassed. I've lost a lot of friends over it.
It's probably not, it's not even about the public, because you don't even say names, but in the internal, in the world, in the sort of incestuous world that you're in, everyone fucking knows when you are telling that joke on stage who you are talking about, right?
Yeah. I haven't had enough boyfriends. I really wish I had more so I could mix it up and they wouldn't know who I was talking about. But it's like one of 3, and it's all very clear. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, Oliver, NIKKI, looking at you during this quarantine, it has been. I think it's shown a different side of you, because I think most people see you from the Comedy Central roast or your appearances on Stern or whatever it might be, and seeing you back in that kind of home nest and interacting with your mom and dad and your dog and whatever. I think a lot of people relate to that. I think it's not intentional, but I think it does kind of soften you a bit to not, again, it's not your intention, but I think you getting to show another side of yourself probably in the worst thing, because you see the normalcy that really you live in, and it's not this heightened sense of comedy all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I think that that's something out of this quarantine that I really have enjoyed exploring, is how to be funny and not have put on a show doing it, and how to be entertaining and really showing my true self, because that's what I want from people. I don't want fakeness. And I hope that out of this, people get to know me a little bit more in that way. And yeah, it's just, I really do hear what you're saying. And it's like, it's sad that I'm singing karaoke in my parents' living room in the middle of the day, but that is what actually is bringing me a lot of joy right now. And it's just, I was posted it the other day, and I was like, is anyone gonna want to marry someone who has footage of them singing Taylor Swift in their parents' a living room when they're 36, and I was like, actually, yeah. I look
that works to your advantage.
That's wifey material. I look fun. I look easygoing. I don't look terrible in sweatpants. Like I think I'm putting out a new like domestic side of me that no one's seen before.
But I think we live. I think America's prude, just in general. I think we're a prude country, right?
Yeah.
And my wife and I watched a Netflix special last night, and it was so fun to watch her watch you. Because everything that you say is just extremely relatable, and it doesn't matter how graphic it is. The more graphic it is, the more relatable it is. Because when someone has a mouthful of cum and they're choosing to spit instead of swallow, this is something that she was rolling about, because it's the fucking truth. It's like when you're running around and doing that bit where the boys, where the fucking guys his friends are watching football, or they're watching some movie or something.
Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, Erin was losing it because it's just the truth for her. You know, like you speak to women on a graphic level that a lot of women don't get to sort of even hear about or experience someone else having the same issue. You know?
Yeah, I never really set out to be graphic or to be overtly sexual or to just to challenge the norm. I don't really like making people uncomfortable, even though it seems like I do. I really just encounter these situations as a woman and just as myself, and I just realize, what are we doing? Why isn't anyone talking about this? And I feel like with sex, I was just so growing up in St. Louis. Growing up with parents that don't talk about sex. I didn't learn anything about sex. I was scared of it. My mom kind of gave me a blanket statement of like, men, if they get you alone, they're going to like try to rape you. So just like avoid being with boys. And I was like, got it. Like, I don't want to be raped yet. I'm going to save that for, college. But I was just scared of boys and I was scared of sex. And it was, and then when I started doing it, I was like, this is so funny and there's so many interesting things about it and no one's really talking about it. And it's just, I really love, I love that you said that watching your wife was fun, because that's why I do it. I really do everything I do to talk to other women and to make just anyone feel less alone, because I just felt so alone. I still feel alone with my crazy thoughts. And that's why I put them out there, because when people relate to them, I'm like, oh, good, it's not me. But before I did comedy, I just felt crazy all the time. Like, why? Like, wait, the semen goes in your body? Like, I just remember being like, wait, their penis goes in you? Like, I couldn't believe it. They just say these things and you're like, but wait a second, why? I had so many questions, and I don't want other people to feel alone with those questions. So I'm really just doing comedy for like a younger version of myself.
No, it's true. It's great. It's great. But how did your parents like deal with that shit growing up? I mean, was sex sort of taboo in a way? I mean, because I have a daughter now, right?
Yeah.
And
how old is she?
She's 6. And that father-daughter relationship, especially when you're dealing with sex, right? How did it work for you? But it's an interesting sort of question as to how you deal with it when you're dealing with father-daughter,
I have no answers for you, because my dad didn't do anything. He said nothing, and he left it to my mom, and my mom said nothing too. So, but what I do remember is that when I started having questions, they weren't handled in the best way, but that was just all he knew. I remember one time, and this like pains me to even think about, but one time I was probably like 8 or 9, and I was in a van full of family, and my dad was driving, a bunch of cousins, my mom, aunts, and we were driving some long distance somewhere. And it just occurred to me that my dad could have had sex with someone before my mom. Like, I don't know what made me think of it, but I was like, I wonder if like if he had girlfriends, did he have sex with anyone? And so I just asked, I was like, Dad, did you have sex with anyone before mom? And he said nothing. He said nothing. He just said nothing. Like, it didn't even happen. Like the conversation, I felt so, not only was I wasn't scolded or told that's not appropriate. It was like I was ignored, and like what I said I was gaslit by my father at an early age, just because he was nervous and didn't know how to handle that conversation. But I would have much preferred an honest answer back then.
Right. Well, I was about to
Even
ask
if my
you,
mom couldn't handle it.
Right. Well, I was about to ask you, I was like, if you could go back and like you have Little Nicky, which is one
Yeah.
of my favorite Prince songs.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. But if you had Little Nicky and you could then, if your dad could have done it right or said the right things to you, would you have any idea what that conversation might sound like, you know?
I think it would have just been really like leaning into the science of it, just of this is what happens. And then, and also the science of love and feeling bonded to someone. And yes, that can happen multiple times. Just treating me like, I mean, that's an adult question. And so being answered with an adult kind of response, I would have, and in that moment wasn't the best time. And he could have said, like, that's a great question, but not shame me because I got a lot of shame for like, why would you have done that then? I mean, I wonder where those voices in my own head come from of why would you have done that? I mean, it's a lot of like, just, that it wasn't the time for it. But if you have any question, let's go through all your questions and I'll answer them all. And I'm excited to, because when it was just, I was always like, I had so many questions, but so little answers. And I was just so scared of penises and vagina. Like I didn't know. I knew my dad had one, but I was just like, what if I see it? What will happen then? Then do I have to do something with it? I mean, I think there are a lot of I was recently talking to my friend and she was like, I was haunted by the fact that I would have to have sex with my father at some point. Like if I accidentally, like not in like a, neither, she wasn't molested. And there's just something of like about your dad's penis that you're like terrified of as a little girl because you just don't know. And you're like, I heard that like goes into people. Like it's the only one I was living with. I didn't have brothers. Jeez. I don't mean to be disgusting, but
no, I'm scared. No. I'm just scared.
Yeah, you like I had not heard that until my friend.
We're a very naked family. Like, I'm still naked all the time
I think that's
in front
good.
of my daughter. But now I'm like, if she's thinking that, I'll like throw my.
I bet she's not. I bet she's not because it's actually out in the open, literally. Right, like I think that's a little different than just acting like this, like the elephant in the room. The elephant, my dad's elephant dick in the room.
I also think that this day and age is different than even when you were 8. And I know you're 10 or so years younger than Oliver and plenty years younger than me, but I have 23 and 20-year-old daughters. And so I've navigated this as a dad. And I've always tried to treat them older than they are. I never really did the baby talk stuff. And if they had questions for me, I just tried to be as honest as I could in the moment. But I also think that the naive idea of having to sit your kid down in this day and age when they become of a certain age and tell them what's going on with a man and a woman's body is ridiculous with what's out there and with computers and the internet and everything else.
Yeah,
I think what you have to navigate are the feelings that's attached to all that and what comes with the emotional side of it and how you have to be, respectful of your body. And you need that's the stuff that I focused on. I didn't get into the nuts and bolts. I didn't need to.
You didn't. You're right.
Wait, did you say nuts and bolts? Was that the thing?
Yeah, that's our code word for dick and balls.
That was an accident.
Yeah, I was terrified of my dad's bolt.
Yeah. I love the idea, Nikki, of all this research we both have a packet that was sent to us about you. The one thing that jumped out to me, and I think is so beautiful, that when you did your first stand-up, if this is accurate, that a friend of yours held her phone up so that your dad back in St. Louis could hear your first stand-up.
I got misty-eyed when I read that.
And I was like, oh my, that tells you all you need to know about Nikki and her dad and how your dad has been your biggest fan. I mean, literally from ground zero. I don't know what it is about that, but I think it's just that bond that I don't know. I think you really, you're lucky and not everybody has that, as you know.
I have the best dad. I can't even believe how much I lucked out. He's cool. He's healthy. He's just mentally healthy. He has always been such a champion of mine. And I was really lost for a few years. Like had a devastating eating disorder that nearly killed me, that confused my whole family and no one knew how to handle it. And I kind of dug myself out of that on my own. And when I did, and when I finally found comedy, like that was why that was like such a crucial moment and why I think we both cried on the phone, because it's true. Yeah, I did stand up for the first time, and I called him crying because he had heard it and was like, I know what I want to do. I'm finally have a reason to live, because at that point I was just so sick that I just wanted to die. Like every day was just a struggle to live. And that was the first time I was like, oh, I have like a talent. Like I have something to pursue. And he was the first one I called, and he was like, I just remember him getting teary-eyed too. And he cries all the time when he sees me on different things, and he's just so proud. But I went home to St. Louis after that show, because I did the show when I was in college, and I went home that summer, and he was the one that took me up to the Funny Bone in St. Louis at Westport Plaza, and we went to the open mic, and he saw that on the table tent it said like a comedy class, and he was the one that was like, you got to do this. So he's always been a champion. He, gave me money until I told him, I was like, just give me until the age of 27. I knew it was going to take at least 10 years to get really good at this and be financially independent at it. And I was right. And he supported me up until the eve of my 28th birthday.
That's awesome.
And then he's letting me live here now, and they're so excited I'm here. I'm having the best time with them. Like it's funny to be living here, and it's hard at times, but I'm learning so much more about them that I never would have known. It's actually a really incredible experience, and I'm like so lucky for it. And yeah,
like more than you could have found out when you hooked them up to a lie detector test.
I know.
Their sex life. I mean, I would be so scared. Every participant in that should have been petrified of what was going to come out. Husband to wife, daughter to dad, daughter to mom. Like there's no win in any of that.
I hooked them up to a lie detector test and asked them about their sex life for my show that I had on Comedy Central.
Oh.
And they were so down. They just like let me do anything with them. They are so nice. They will anything to make me look better. They don't care. And
did they lie? Did they lie at all? In that?
No, they didn't actually. I mean, it was unfortunate that they didn't, because I think they could have gotten away with it. But because the lie detector test is like a Hollywood lie detector test, he just says whatever answer is funniest. But they really did tell the truth about a lot of stuff, and it was so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable I remember the worst question was asking my dad if he had ever heard me having sex. And that was like the brutal one where I was like, why did I sign up for this? So they constantly are throwing themselves under the bus for me comedically. I mean, I really lucked out.
Are you like in your childhood like room or some shit?
Yeah, I lived in my bedroom.
This has to be are you doing something with this? It's too good that you're fucking living with your parents again. I mean,
I know it really is too good. It's so ironic. I sold a show a year ago, and I am just now starting to write it after everything. And the show is that I get canceled. It's me getting canceled, and I have to move back home to St. Louis and live with my parents. And I sold it a year ago. I'm getting texted about it right now. I have scripts due today. I cannot write this damn thing because I'm living it.
I know.
And it's really affecting my relationship with them, because they are such assholes in this pilot that I'm writing. Mm-hmm. And then I take it out and they've done, it's like when you have a dream about that someone cheated on you and then you're mad at them. It's like they have nothing to do with what's happening on my computer, but it's uncanny.
Oh, I have those dreams are so real, especially in high school. In high school, I would have sex dreams about a girl that I had no interest in, and then I'd go to school the next day and be like, I have to be with her. I'm so into her right now.
Yes, it's so real. Yeah. So it's a weird. I've lost literally every other TV show except that one. I'm like, oh, good, that's the one I have to.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's going on? Like, how's it all panning out? I'm supposed to do a pilot. I was supposed to do a pilot for CBS, and now it's just in a holding pattern.
Yeah, I had a voiceover job that went away because they can't shoot the show that I was voicing. My radio show just ended. My tour was interrupted in the middle of my first theater tour. So it's like, pretty much everything is gone, but I'm just now starting, I think I want to do a reality show. I'm like, oh, that would be, I'm already saying everything that I'm doing. Why not just shoot it? Then I can just live and shoot a show. So I think I'm gonna.
Then you'll never
that.
get married. Don't do that. You'll never get married.
No, I think I might do it to get married. Like, I think I might do a dating show, like to try to find a husband.
Oh, because those are so real.
Love is blind. They're still together, those people.
Oh,
I know. I believe in it. God. I'll
still together.
I definitely, it'll take a certain type of person to want to date on camera, but I kind of feel like I might need to end up with someone like that. I don't know. Or maybe I just need a reason to get out there and date again. So I was like, oh, maybe if I make a show where I have to date, I'll do it.
Well, obviously men is a big thing in your life. It's just trying to figure that shit out, right?
Yes.
I mean, but why is it so difficult? Meaning, like, what are you, is it you? You know what I mean? Is it
no.
you? No, it's not you.
I'm pretty great. I gotta be honest. Like
So then what is going on? Like, do you really want to be with a man? Meaning, do you really want a relationship? Or
No, I think I'm terrified. I think I'm terrified of actually being loved and someone loving me. Like, I'm so hard on myself that I'm uncomfortable with someone not being hard on me. So, the people I'm attracted to tend to be narcissists that, don't really even like me that much. And I try to convince them to like me. And then I finally do. And then I'm not interested anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I'm trying so hard to work on myself, because I just know that's the problem. It is me. I know that I am capable of being a great partner and that I will someday. I'm 36 though. And I'm like, how have you not had more than one relationship? Like, it's kind of, there's something suspicious about it where I'm like, something's going on here and I gotta figure it out. But I'm extremely, as open as I talk about sex, I'm extremely nervous about it and just have a lot of anxiety around physical intimacy. So that's why I dated a guy for several years. And then since we broke up like 3 years ago, and I've just only slept with him because it's like, oh, I know how that goes. And it's just not challenging.
Right.
It's not putting myself.
So to go back to Hoffman just for a second. So my sex life,
Please.
my wife, we've been together for 19 years, married for 14, I think now. We've had the bumps. There's no doubt about it. Nothing's fucking perfect. She's an amazing woman. Put it that way. So I went to Hoffman. Sex has always been amazing. It's always been great. It's always gotten better and better and better because we've been more comfortable and more comfortable with each other. When we were young, we fucked a million times a day. But then, but now it got better and better and better. I went to Hoffman, and my sex life just opened up to an entirely different level because I never truly understood what connected sex really, really was. I thought I did because I'm emotionally available. I'm a very open person.
Yeah.
But I was closed off to a lot of things. I mean, I had my certain parts of my vulnerable self was just locked up. And once that shit opened, it was like insane. And I'm not kidding. And I'll admit this. There was one time where I had to stop myself from crying after an orgasm at the age of 43 years old.
Wow. That's beautiful.
This is our last podcast. I hope you get a fucking rebate from Hoffman. Like, did you half your money back when you talk about how great they are?
I'm just saying.
That's incredible.
I consider myself to be a pretty manly guy.
That's going to be on your headstone. Here lies Oliver Hudson, who once fought back tears after an orgasm.
Yeah,
enjoy.
We're not cutting it out. I'm okay with this. I know who I am. I know I can be filthy, and I know I'm sensitive. I know I'm all of it, right? But I had a moment where it was so intense.
See, don't put this out there. For the last 10 years of my life, I get people yell, "Artie Lang," out to me, or "Oh, that's disgusting," for the Randy Moss thing. You're going to be walking down the street in LA. People are going to roll down the window.
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
It's so good.
I don't care. I don't even care if it's because it's so non-relatable. Like, I don't think one man listening out there will be like, "Oh yeah, I cry too when I orgasm."
Yeah, that's so that's so nice. I mean, did this Hoffman thing? Did you just cry the whole time? Because I think that's the fear is like, if I start crying, I won't stop, or like
it's okay though. It's good. It's just fucking good.
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
go.
And that's all you needed? Do you need to go back for tune-ups?
No, well, there's certain things, you're constantly in it. Like the other
This is
day,
part of his post therapy. Every week we talk about Hoffman.
I
Yeah,
know, I know. We don't have to keep it all in. It's just
We're
part of
talking
my
about
life.
we
It's part of my
talk about
life
my-
now.
Talk about my hair plugs and your fucking self-help.
I know. It was just I had never had anything that transformative before, and I've been in therapy for 20 plus years. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's really resonating, and I
Yeah.
just love that you need tissues after sex for two different things.
I mean,
Exactly.
Nikki's gonna camp out outside the gates to Hoffman.
I
now
can't
that she
wait to
knows
get
what's
in there.
going on.
Let
No,
me
I mean,
in.
forget that. You're waiting for some guy to come out so you can.
That's
get
a good
Hi,
That's
do
a-
you cry after sex? Hi, my name's Nikki. I have a Netflix special.
Yeah, I love emotional men. Like that's my new thing is like I'm into guys that like cry and work on themselves and feel their feelings because I think I would. I don't want it to be constant, but I remember the one time my ex-boyfriend broke down crying. I would like started blowing him before he even like gained composure. I was like, that's the hottest. You sobbing is the hot. I can't help it. I'm so turned on by the fact that you have feelings about your brother. It was just so. I was like, please stay in this state, be this vulnerable. But I really relate to that. I feel very constipated emotionally.
Yeah. Well, what's the perfect dude then? You know what I mean? Like, do you have an idea of who this man could possibly be?
Yeah, I mean, it's someone. I want someone who is,
What about physicality first? Does it matter? Does he have to be like hot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, no, it just has to be attractive to me.
Okay.
I'm all over the place with that. I'm often attracted to people that my friends are like, "What?" So, yeah, but I have to be attracted to him because I often solicit people just DM me if you want to shoot your shot, do it, but take your profile off private so I can look at your pictures and see or send pictures of you, and if I don't get back to you, you can just convince yourself that I didn't see it and it's no harm no foul. But I think physically I'm all over the place. I can go short, I can go tall. I don't care. But I have to go white. I'm just kidding. No, no, I can go any way. I'm all over the place with attractiveness, but that is first. Like I really can't fake that, and I've tried to before where I'm like, I'm not attracted to him, but he's so nice. I want a guy who meditates. Like that's like someone who actually reads a book about themselves and isn't scared to maybe have gone to therapy before. That's a huge thing. Like someone who just works on themselves beyond listening to a Joe Rogan podcast about, breathing exercises. Like, maybe you take cold showers. That's a start, but let's go a little bit deeper. I think that men are so scared they're going to be gay on the other side of looking inward that they just don't go there. And it's like, I promise if you go to therapy, you're probably not going to be gay, but if you are, then you're gay, and then go be gay and let's not do this anymore. But that's mainly just guys that are emotionally like working on themselves. But I do like a fixer upper. So I don't want you to be fully fixed.
Right.
I want you to still be open, and someone who doesn't drink, or not someone who doesn't drink, but someone who isn't like an alcoholic, which most people kind of are. And as a pothead, I have my own things that I would like to not be a pothead when I bring myself to a relationship. But yeah, the drink, because I don't drink, and if anyone who loves that or someone who's like obsessed with meat is never going to be good for me. I found that because I'm vegan and I just don't want to talk. I don't care if you eat meat, but if it's like barbecuing is a part of your identity, yeah, but I like guys that are like successful. I like guys that are like really love what they do, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money because I feel like I've done pretty well for myself and I don't need that. But
what about politics? You care about politics?
Oh my God. If you have any sort of sympathy for Trump, it's if there's even a smidge of like, well, I think that shut up.
Right.
Like,
what about take Trump out of the equation? What about just conservative versus liberal? You know what I mean? Forget Trump. Trump's a different species.
I can't forget. I know he is, but I would say just, and this stems from my dad. Like I'm honestly looking for someone with my dad's same kind of values, which is environmentalism, the planet, and just being a good person. So yeah, I mean, politically you can be really anywhere. As long as you just like care about animals and about the earth. Like if you don't believe in climate change, we're going to have a problem. Or if you don't seem to care about it, and we don't need to be growing our own nut butters or anything, but like, just have some sort of, my dad is huge about the environment and like has been trained by Al Gore and gives speeches. He wrote a song about climate change.
Wow.
So I'm kind of, that really is important to me in someone.
Okay, we laid it out there.
There's like maybe 10 people walking the planet that fit these qualifications.
I know.
So I hope that
and a lot of them are married, but well, even if they're not, by the end of this quarantine, there's going to be a lot of bachelors.
That's true.
In the market.
This
I have a
is
feeling.
true. This is true.
I'm keeping my options open. I'm not ruling anything out anymore. I used to be like, oh, he's like, I was the other day, I was like looking at Blues players and Cardinal players just because I'm in town. Like, why not? And they're all like, oh, married with kids. And I'm like, or, usually that would deter me. And now I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm just going to say like.
So when you go look for Blues and Cardinals players, are you just going online and looking at rosters?
Images. Yeah. I'm just like looking at the images and I'm like, oh, he's cute. And then I go look and I look at his age and then I see he was born in 95 and I'm like, maybe not him.
I know. Oh, but by the way, though, Joe is, a great source for all of that.
I am, yes. But most of those people you were looking at are meat eaters at the very least.
Right. Well, they just, as
they're
long
not
as they
making
don't
their own nut butter.
Okay. Well, as long as they, I can make an exception. Just what's their salary? We can.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't even brought up. All right.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
independently wealthy.
Yeah.
No, but this is good. Any athlete that you may be interested in, Joe's an amazing resource for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I will put A with B.
Both of you, that's what I've been trying to do is like just consider me for your single friends. Just like keep me in your mind, set me up, because I think that's what's going to have to happen. It's like I'm on the celebrity dating app Raya, but that is just I'm up against Victoria's Secret supermodels and also escorts. There's like,
oh really? Is that how that goes down on that?
I mean, there's girls on there that I just know are charging, and it's just not. It's not good on there. And in St. Louis, there's no one on Raya in St. Louis. It's like Fred Bird and John Goodman. Like,
yeah.
It's really is slim pickings out here.
Fred Bird. You don't know what's under that bird head.
Oh, I
no
don't.
idea. No.
But you must on Raya. You must have dudes swiping you just because of who you are, right? I mean,
I thought so. Aspect. Like there are some of those that say like, "Oh, I loved you on this thing," or "I loved you on that," and it's funny because that takes me right out of it. Because if you know me only from my act or from my roasts, you definitely think I'm someone different than I am. Like you don't know the real me, and if that's the person you want, it's not necessarily the person you're gonna get.
That can't be the drop the mic moment for you. That's not bad to say. If they, I thought you were great on this.
But I hope they dig deeper and not too deep but I don't want someone who, I can't wait. Like the worst line, which so many guys use is like, are you going to roast me if we go on a date? And it's just like, that's too much. Or this is another thing that keeps happening is that I'll get really hot guys who I usually would be like, wow, this dude's out of my league. Hello. And I'm like, well, this is nice. I guess I'm like way hotter than I thought I was. And then it comes out that they want to start a podcast with me. It's like these like ex-Bachelor contestants who they're just using me and they flirt with me. Like they really do. They do it like they're like, I feel like a really, a hoodwinked dude, like I just feel like a kind of a dumb dude that I fall for these guys that are just kind of like, just want to hang out with me and want to spend time together. And then on like the second time we hang out where I'm like, is he going to kiss me? It finally gets to the point where I have to be like, what's going on here? And they're like, well, I have this podcast opportunity and I'm looking for a co-host. And I'm like, oh, you just want my talent. It's happened a lot. It happened to the point where it was happening. It's happened 3 or 4 times with different guys that I'm like very excited. I'm like, oh my God, I got a DM from this guy. He has a blue check mark. And then we start talking and it's never flirty. And then it always ends up them wanting me to either do their podcast or start a podcast with them.
Why are we doing a podcast? It's like
that's why Nikki's on our podcast, because we need her to be a third host.
Yeah, it was a long hour and a half of getting you on our podcast as a co-host. All right, well, you got to write. So
yeah, go write. But I want one more thing. I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but I'm just curious. What is there anything off? What is off limits in your comedy? I mean, what won't you talk about? I mean, there must be some thing. There are things.
I don't think I'll make fun of. I don't like to. I won't make fat jokes. I mean, I think I've done them in the past, but I just feel like it's just such well trod to like call someone fat and dismiss them that way. And I'm kind of just sensitive to that. So unless it's a roast, and then you can call people fat all day.
Yeah.
But in terms of just being mean and making fun of people or just for no reason, I just won't do that anymore. I won't go. I find it much easier to like make fun of myself, but and to be really harsh against myself. But my roasting, I only allow that kind of venom to come out in that arena because they're there, they signed up for it. But taking that on stage and talking about someone else that way, even my parents, I'm a lot more sensitive about how I handle my frustrations with them. But honestly, in terms of my own life, really nothing's off limits. I don't really hold much back. I mean, there's certain things that I've done before that I probably will never admit to, even to myself. But I really don't have many secrets. I often find myself in therapy. Like I would go into my therapist and she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me that. That is like so brave of you." And I go, I literally just said that on air like an hour ago. So if you want to hear it again, it's on demand on SiriusXM.
But you have things you're saying that it's hard for you to even admit to yourself that you have done. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, just really petty things.
So certain things like that you won't talk about just because it's awful for even you can't even stomach it.
I need distance from them. There's a couple things that I could even think of right now that I don't have enough distance from. And I'm like, oh, that ugliness that I was thinking that I would want to maybe take apart someday with my act it's too soon. Like, but there's one in particular that, the type of ugliness that I'm talking about that I usually would like, don't share that with anyone. I remember being so heartbroken about a guy. He broke up with me and I just wanted any reason for him to like reach out to me again and to have to be nice to me, that I was kind of like hoping that, I'm not going to say which family member, but that a family member would be in like a car accident. Like I remember specifically, the ugliest one I've ever had. And not one that they would die, but just like, really fucked up. And it was like, and I sincerely remember crying, being like, I hope that happens. Which is so, and it's like, why wouldn't you ask for you to get hit by a car? And it's like, well, because then I'll get hit by a car and I don't want to be. So I'd rather that happen to my sister.
I was going to say, your poor sister.
Exactly. You knew.
Exactly. I do. I mean, it's got to be your sister. It's not going to be your dad. It's not gonna, that's terrible.
It's terrible.
You're a horrible person.
I know. That was the old me. That was 5 years ago. So that's what I'm saying. The limit, that 5 years distance, I've changed since then. That's not a thought I would ever have about my sister now that I would admit to. But that's just like, I think I remember that kind of thought bubbling up of, wow, that is so sad and so embarrassing that I thought of it. And then 5 years later you go, okay, now I can talk about it because that's the old me. Yeah.
Right. We all have those morbid thoughts. I mean, yes. I do. I mean, I think that they're not necessarily real. They're coming from a different place. It's an insecure place.
Have you told Kate about those thoughts?
Not yet. Not yet. But all right. Well,
a good solution for you, Nikki.
Yeah.
If you want to live in St. Louis, just stay in your parents' house and maybe they'll just move out and get a place of their own.
They're actually looking at places. I really could take this place over. It's a little too much space, but and I know that they'd miss so many things and want to come back and use their pool. And so I don't need a pool. I don't need that. It's too much to take care of. I want a small place. I don't know where to look though, but I'm gonna do it.
I can help you with that and anybody on the roster of the Cardinals or Blues.
I'm serious. Please keep me in mind.
And Oliver can help you find a guy who will cry after having an orgasm.
Get me one of those Hoffman boys.
I'll find you a Hoffman boy who's going to cry after he comes.
Go check out your outreach list from the Hoffman Center.
And then, so I want to ask you one last question, dad question. So if you could, give me one thing that you are grateful for that you have sort of genetically inherited from your father, right? And then one thing that you wish that you didn't get from him.
That's good. Okay, so one thing about my dad, I really did get my dad's like genetics. Like we have the same body and the same, like we look alike. It's actually one of the worst things but I get told I look like my dad all the time. Like I don't like posting pictures of my dad because people on Instagram are like, you look just alike. And I'm just like, that's not nice. Like I'm a woman. And then I post a picture of my mom and they're like, you look nothing like her. And I'm like, I know. So I look a lot like my dad, but I'm grateful for that because he's got amazing legs and he is just like a very athletic figure without even trying. And so I don't really have to work out and I'm still like I'm psyched for my dad's body that I got, except my huge dick gets in the way a lot, making my future daughter uncomfortable. But I really, what I did get from him that I am, just in terms of personality, I think I'm just really nice and interested in people. And I think I've learned that from him, like a genuine interest in others and learning, a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for reading and absorbing entertainment, music. We have the same he's a musician and we sang a song the other night. Actually, I threw like a dance party that I do on Zoom where I raise money and I took the time to sing a song with him. My dad learned a Taylor Swift song and which I've been begging him to learn. And I sang it with him and I've never sang professionally. My dad's a professional singer and guitarist. And it was so hard for me to do because that's always been very contentious for us because he's so critical of my singing. And I always just end up being like, I'll never do it right. I know. And then I'll just storm off and we never accomplished anything. So we finally sang this song. But the other night, right before we sang, I was telling the people watching, I was like, guys, I'm going to sing a song right now. My dad and I practice it. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know you're all like, oh God, now she's going to sing this. No one needs to see a comedian sing. And my dad made some comment. He was like, yeah, you singing is like when the drummer like has his own solo song that everyone goes to the reception, goes to get drinks during.
Yeah.
It's a good joke.
It's a great joke, but it was right before my performance. And I was like, okay. And I was so mad. And then I fucked it up so bad. I fucked up the song so bad. And in my head, I'm like, he fucked me up. He got in my head right before. And I was so mad at him. But then afterwards, we ended up talking about like how hard it is to memorize words and how he was actually very comforting to me after it, even though I was like, you got in my head, Dad. So I'm really, I'm appreciate just my dad has the greatest taste in comedy, which because of my dad's taste in comedy, that's why I'm a comedian. He got Seinfeld in front of me at a very early age. Conan, great stand-ups. I remember watching him watch Wendy Liebman, who is someone I like really get a lot. Sarah Silverman and Wendy Liebman were two people that my dad like thought were so funny. And so I think all of this is for my dad. Like I do this to get my dad's attention, as I'm sure you both kind of understand in your own right, is that you're just trying to be good at something that your dad is good at and likes a lot.
Yeah.
So, and the thing that I would say that I got from my dad that I wish I didn't was, I mean, let me just think about this for 1 second. You can cut out the lag time, but I really want to get this right. I would say, God, I don't want to be mean. So many things are coming to me that are too harsh. But if he listens to this, I'll just feel so bad. I wish that I wasn't so I think you know, we're coming full circle here as I talk, because I wish I didn't have so many expectations for myself, so much pressure on myself. And I don't think I get that from my dad putting pressure on himself, but I think I get that from my dad putting pressure on others. Not me, but my dad expects a lot from people and is really disappointed when they don't deliver. And I've seen that disappointment, and I've seen him talk behind people's backs about like, why couldn't they just do this? And I think I have internalized a lot of that. And I think even answering this question right now is helping me know where that voice is coming from, and possibly help me like overcome it. So thanks,
Great.
guys. Did I just go to Hoffman? Was this an intro
is
class
it.
to the Hoffman?
This is
You
it.
passed.
This
You
is how I
did it.
get you.
You did it.
You're in. You're in the class of 2021.
I'm gonna go come and weep in the next room after this. Thanks so much.
Well, this is so fun. And by the way, call me if you want to talk about Sim and the podcast, and even Hoffman as well. I think I gave you my number when we did the game show.
I have your number. I'm
okay.
gonna reach out to you. Like, I have to make decisions this week. I may reach out to you in a couple hours if you wouldn't mind. Just a quick talk. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This was so much fun.
So fun.
Great.
This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Hey, can I ask you to take out the dad dick stuff? Just the thinking your dad's
Whatever
gonna fuck you. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. I'm like, if I died tomorrow and my dad looks up my latest podcast appearance, I just would be devastated. But that is a real thing. But but literally anything around, like the tiniest bit, even just skimming the top off that. But you don't need to lose a chunk.
No, it's out.
It's all good. It's all good. We don't care.
Love you guys. This was so fun.
So fun.
We have so much. Thank you for being so great.
It was awesome. I got so much out of it. Thank you.
Good. Thanks,
Talk
Nikki.
later.
All right,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Oliver.
Awesome. I love her.
She's so great.
She's so great.
And you
she's
said,
so sweet. She's just so sweet. And, it's like she said, when she was talking about dating, where guys are looking at her on Raya and basically thinking, oh, this is the NIKKI GLASER I'm going to get because she's so authentic and real in her, stand-up. But, there's an entirely different side to her, really sensitive, caring, emotional side that
self-aware, and
somebody
somebody
she's great.
that I think when you do follow, as silly as it sounds, on Instagram, you said, "Oh, I think you have a crush on her." That's what my wife says. I think I am. I see a lot of my daughter in her, Natalie, and kind of I don't know. She's easy to root for. I like somebody that is that open and not guarded. And for somebody to come from here, which is, she's literally 10 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, and make it to that stage, I still go back to that roast of Alec Baldwin. I mean, that was just take no prisoners.
Yeah, amazing.
So much guts. And you're sitting next to Robert De Niro and Caitlyn Jenner and and Alec Baldwin. I mean, she grew up seeing these people in movies, and now she's just shredding them.
Yep.
It's like, God, that's so good. Like, I do not have the guts.
No, fuck that. But it's so funny that Michelle said the same thing, that you have a crush on her.
Well, because she's saying it because I basically chased her down to get her on this. And I do. I see a lot of my daughter's performance. That she tried to do stand-up. My daughter did improv at Second City, and just she's a huge NIKKI GLASER fan. So I kind of equate the two. But I nothing in the last hour and a half changed my opinion. I love that. I love that kind of person.
Oh yeah, I honestly hadn't seen a lot of her stuff, right? So I watched a special last night with Aaron. Dude, it's fucking funny, man. I mean, real deal funny stuff. Not like, oh, she's funny. Like, it's deep, it's funny, it's good, it's poignant, it's real, it's extremely relatable in the most graphic way. Yeah, it's just so fun.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like comedians, male or female, are being graphic just for the sake of being graphic.
Yeah, no,
but I don't get like that sense.
Not at all. Yeah,
from what I've seen.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. It all is moving the plot forward, so to speak.
But that would be tough to have that. I mean, I can't imagine sitting there with my daughter, either one of them, doing that kind of comedy, talking about those kinds of things in front of me. Would be so unnerving for both parties, for father and daughter, and yet they're so close, and that's why I really wanted to have her on this, because I thought if we're gonna, the first female on this show, daddy issues do not have to be when I have daddy issues.
No.
It can be the other side.
Yeah,
and I think
of
she
course.
genuinely reveres her father, and that relationship is something that I really wanted to get
Oh
into.
yeah, I could have talked to her for hours about just the psychological state of humanity, and just digging into sort of the way I feel and the way she's feeling and why she thinks this and why I think I'm the way I am. I love that shit. I avoided it to a certain extent because I could get into the weeds with that stuff. I love that stuff.
Well, you guys got into the weeds at the beginning. It was all about weeds.
That's right.
Weed.
That's right.
Weed.
That weed. Well, that was fun, Joe. It was a great week without you and a better day with you.
Oh, thanks, Casey Kasem. Remember, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. It was a great week without you, even better with you. For your time this time, till next time, so long, everybody.
Does that even make sense what I said?
Absolutely. But that folds right into what my dad used to say. For your time this time, till next time, so long. So that's
that was his thing. Oh, good. Yeah. Well, it was a great week without you, but a better day with you.
Hey, everybody, from all of us here at the Daddy Issues Podcast, we're saying
so long.